Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 76. This is now part 5, and at the beginning of part 5, if we have any Q&A questions from super members, I address them, okay? So, we do have a Q&A question. It is as follows. Ready? With the recent Yellowstone hydrothermal explosion that happened about 2 weeks ago, which actually is in this playlist if we get to it today, how concerned are you about Mount Rainier? Or Mount Rainier? Were you concerned about Mount Rainier when you initially moved out to the state of Washington? Thank you. Now, FYI, you don't know what we're talking about. There is a geyser at Yellowstone Park that normally just explodes with some water every day. It's a national thing. People go in there to the park. They pay. It's like a tourist attraction. Well, it went boom. Big explosion a couple weeks ago. And led a lot of people to be scared about it. I guess professionals went in and looked at it and said, nah, it's actually not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it, okay? Now, I live in Washington State. We are near Mount Rainier, which is a dormant volcano. We also live near many other things. Like, I think there's another one around here, too. Mount St. Helens or something like that. Now, back in the 1980s, okay, of a supposedly dormant volcano did actually erupt out of nowhere. And when this happened, a lot of people panicked, and basically a lot of soot shot everywhere. My aunt at the time lived here in Washington State, and she actually took a jar and filled the jar with the soot from this eruption that had happened as like a souvenir for the rest of her life. Sadly, some people did lose their lives because it wasn't predicted that this was going to happen. And I think it was 1980, yeah. And because of that, people were just not prepared, and a lot of people were taken unawares and did die in this eruption. Now, was it a full-blown 10-alarm, lava gushing everywhere eruption? No. It was just a lot of, explosions, soot, stuff like that. Did it destroy the state when it happened? No. It was kind of an oddity for most people who lived here. It was an odd thing that happened to talk about for the rest of their lives, but for the most part, no, it did not really, affect things too much. It was like a very temporary, short-term thing. With Mount Rainier, all right, it is a very large mountain here. If it were to erupt, okay, there are already things in place. For example, there's evacuation routes and stuff. Like, at places that would be affected negatively, there's signs. Like, there's actually a place called The Landing in downtown Renton, all right? The Landing, essentially, if they predicted that if Mount Rainier were to erupt, and if you followed the path where the lava would flow from it, eventually it would follow a path that would take you right through the Landing, okay? So there's actually signs in the Landing on the streets that say, volcano evacuation route. It's crazy, but it says it. So if the volcano erupted, follow this route as fast as you can to get the hell out of the Landing. So when the lava starts to flow, you won't be in the path of the lava. Okay? Now, in truth, is there any actual fully predictable way to know what's going to happen with a volcano eruption? No. There's not. Okay? It's just not. But in life, it's like playing the odds, right? For example, right now, there's a chance if you get in a plane, it will crash. There's a chance if you get in a car, you'll get into a car accident, right? Geez, there's a chance if you're walking down the street, a crazy person will just stab you for no reason. It's all a risk, right? There's nothing you can really do in life. You're always at risk. There's always this semblance of safeness that we feel. It's fake. At any moment, space aliens can land on the planet and blow us up. And there's nothing we can do about that either, right? It could happen. So what you do is you play the odds. What are the actual odds, all right, that this volcano would erupt? Very close to zero. Not zero, but close to zero. Even if it were to erupt, it's not going to be a 5-alarm eruption that kills everything around it. It'll probably be soot and stuff, just like the Mount St. Helens eruption was, okay? If we get closer to a situation where that's going to happen, professionals should notify us to say, okay, you got to move, which would suck, but what are you going to do, right? In this particular case, I actually live on a very elevated area. I don't live down this mountainous, hill valley all the way down where the lava would actually pool and go. I live at a high elevation, okay? So where I am is not in the line of the lava if there was to be a full eruption. Now, I'm not saying if there was a full eruption, I would still want to stay here. Probably not a good idea, but I would be at least immediately safe as long as I'm home. I should be fine, okay? So I'm not too worried about an erupting volcano murdering myself or my family. I think we'll be okay, but then obviously you'd have to rethink about things about where you live and if it's going to be safe or not, right? But no, the experts here are not saying that the volcano will erupt anytime within my lifetime, all right? If that changes, I'm sure they're going to notify everyone, so I guess we'll see, but no, there's no freaking out about that happening. Not saying there's a 0% chance. It's not. There's always a chance that this stuff could happen. But the chance of me getting into my car and driving to the grocery store and getting into a horrible accident are massively higher than a volcano erupting and killing people out here. You see? So you got to kind of play the odds. Fair enough? Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, without further ado, let's continue on with our submissions to your videos for the week. Oh, we got a Rob Gavigan video from 9 years ago. See what this one's about. I haven't watched Rob Gavigan in a while.
Torture, kill. Today we discuss the infamous BTK killer himself,
Wow.
Dennis Rader. Let's open the serial killer file.
The intro.
Kansas. At a very early age, he felt compelled to commit acts that many would-be serial killers do. He began torturing animals. Later, these urges shifted, and he began obsessed with women's underwear, stealing them and wearing them himself. Through these desires, however, Dennis, years later, was able to pull it all together and join the Air Force. Eventually, he was discharged and worked with his mother at a supermarket in Park City and attended Butler County Community College in El Dorado, where he earned an associate's degree in electronics, after which he went on to obtain a bachelor's degree in administration of justice. However, unbeknownst to his fellow students, they were attending class with a monster in the making.
Oh boy.
During his time in college in 1971, he met the love of his life, Paula Dietz, who would be the mother to his 2 children. In 1974, it wasn't only love that Dennis found, but murder as well. Dennis approached a home one day in January. While outside of the home, he cut the phone lines. According to his account, he considered walking away right then and there, unsure if he could follow through with something as intense as murder. But as he stood at the door of the Otero family, as fate would have it, the door opened. A young boy had opened the door to let the family's dog out. This would have proven to be a great mistake. Dennis saw this as an opportunity to enter and did so without hesitation. He pulled a pistol on the entire family and requested that the Otero's notoriously unfriendly dog be let outside. The dog was let out and Dennis forced the family into the bedroom. Dennis tied them all up one by one and after much effort due to inexperience, strangled the mother and father, then their 8-year-old son, and finally brought their 11-year-old daughter into the basement where he hanged her. He then proceeded to masturbate over the bodies before cleaning up, taking some souvenirs, and leaving, something he would do at most of his crime scenes.
Now, I mean, this begs the question. This guy was married. This guy had kids, correct? How the hell does his family not know that he's nuts? There was never an indication that this guy was nuts. He was the perfect model husband and father at home, but had a whole other personality trapped in there. They didn't know that he was going to be an insanely vicious, disgusting, vile killer. How do you not know? I mean, I am asking legit because I've never really known anyone like that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine, right? Like, it's one thing to say, okay, a friend, and then the friend ended up being something like this. Okay, they're your friend. That's a little different. If you're married to them, if you're their family, you're with them all day, every day. how could you not know that something like this is happening, or that, you know, again, they didn't even explain. He just shows up at a house of a family, cuts the phone wire, goes in and does this. Who were they? Why did he do that? Were these people he hated? Was he targeting these people for an extended period of time, encasing their house? What causes people to want to do that? Right? Like, the way I see it is this, and I've said this before. People do malicious things when their own lives have either something missing or something terrible going on in them. I don't believe that people go out of their way to do awful things unless it means that something in their own life is lacking. Because if this man had a full life where he's married and he's happy with his kids, and he loves everything about it, he would be busy with that 24/7, right? He would surround himself with activities around his own life. How did he have time to case a house, go in and kill these people? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did he have time, even time for that? It's baffling to me. But that's just me and my line of thinking. You know, I don't know. I don't have experience with this kind of stuff.
Dennis hadn't been prepared for the actual amount of effort it takes to strangle a person to death. While a person can lose consciousness within seconds of being strangled, it takes more commitment to actually kill the person. This is often misunderstood due to movies and television showing a strangulation leading to death within seconds to keep the
they show it so easy, like it happens right away. It's just bullshit.
This is the issue that Dennis had. As he would move from family member to family member, others he had just strangled would wake up. This led to him wrapping the victims' heads in t-shirts and bags so that they would suffocate. Truth be told, it can take minutes of constant, deliberate strangulation to actually kill a person. But Dennis was a fast learner. Dennis would at times pick his victims and stalk them in very simplistic ways.
So here you
All
go.
he would need to do would be to drive by their residence as they were outside to know that they were a candidate. This was the case of Catherine Bright and her brother Kevin. After discovering Catherine's address, he broke in while she was gone one day and waited for her to come home. When she arrived, she came in with her brother. Dennis, at gunpoint, forced Kevin to tie Catherine up and ended up shooting Kevin twice after a struggle. He then attempted to strangle Catherine but found it immensely difficult as she put up a fight, so he stabbed her to death. At that time, Kevin, who was miraculously still alive, had escaped, but despite an accurate description to police, Dennis avoided arrest.
What?
Months later, Dennis grew darker. It wasn't enough to just murder his victims anymore. No, now he needed fame for it. Dennis wrote a letter confessing to his crimes and concealed it in a book at a public library. In the letter, he explained his desire to kill and requested that he be called the BTK Strangler, claiming that BTK stood for bind them, torture them, kill them. It didn't take long for newspapers to run.
I just can't understand it, again, because I'm in a situation where, like, with my life, I'm so happy. I love my wife. I love the family life that we have here together. I love everything we do. I wish I had more time to put towards that because I have to work so much, right? To me, when I hear this, it's like, this guy did not like his life whatsoever because he was fantasizing about murdering people constantly. This was what he wanted to be, not the family life that he had at home. How did he even get the family life? Because I'm going to be honest, family life is not an easy thing to obtain. A solid family, a steady family, that everyone's getting along and supporting each other and you know what I mean? It's not. You got to earn it. You got to work to have that in life. How did he get that and then say, that's not what I wanted, I'll squander it and I'll just become this vicious serial killer? It's I can't understand it because I guess I'm just never going to be in that situation because I'm happy with who I am. You know what I mean?
The story and the fear of a serial killer swept over the area. Dennis maintained a job as a home security specialist and would often set up home alarms for customers. Little did customers know that the alarms that they were having set up to keep the BTK killer out were being installed by the BTK killer himself. People were unknowingly allowing a serial killer into their homes. It was a few years before Dennis struck again. In 1977, he strangled another woman named Shirley Vian. Months later, he went on to kill another woman, Nancy Fox, who had been sick at the time. He had her children go into a bedroom and secured them inside. He strangled their mother, who vomited during the process. So he went, got her a glass of water, comforted her, and then put a bag over her head and killed her. Dennis did well at keeping his dark secret under wraps from his family. He became a father, and he was described as a caring and attentive family man.
What the
hell? He took a bit of a hiatus from his murders, but during this time continued to taunt police. In 1979, Dennis broke into an older woman's house, but she thankfully took too long to get home, and Dennis became impatient and left, infuriated by his failure. It wouldn't be until 1985 when Dennis killed his own neighbor, Maureen Hedge. The following year, he strangled and killed his final known victim, Dolores Davis. In the late 1980s, Dennis eventually left his job for the home security company and moved on to a life murder-free. Dennis took a new position as a compliance supervisor for Park City in 1991. He flexed his limited authority over the residents of the city and often measured people's lawns and could be seen chasing stray animals with a tranquilizer gun. Among these things, he was also a Boy Scout troop leader and a devout member of his church. But in 2004, the anniversary of the Otero murders played across multiple local media outlets. Dennis's need for attention surged, and he began contacting the local media outlets with letters and dropping off packages at random locations.
What the
hell? One of the items was a computer disk that led authorities to Dennis's church. This, combined with his white van showing up on security cameras at package drop points and a DNA sample from Dennis's daughter, Dennis was arrested in February of 2005 and, to everyone's shock, pled guilty.
Yeah, so the thing is, he always wanted to be caught and he always wanted to be publicized. And then they never did. So he eventually gave up on them catching him and he just gave himself away. I don't get it. It's so weird. All right. Singapore. I never would have expected.
Did you know that Singapore is one of the only 3 city-states left in the world? A city-state is a sovereign entity which consists of a city and its dependent territory.
I did know that because we've already heard that in a million other videos about Singapore, so I guess we could skip that first one. Oh, man.
The Bay, for instance. This sprawling, futuristic garden paradise spans over 250 acres, boasting an impressive array of biodiversity. It's a living testament to the city's innovative approach to urban planning. But it's not just about the gardens. Everywhere you turn, the city is filled with vibrant green spaces. From its tree-lined roads to its eco-friendly buildings, Singapore is a city where nature and development coexist in perfect harmony. And it's not stopping there. Singapore continues to invest in green initiatives, ensuring a
I mean, I'll be honest, we already kind of know about all this stuff. What's linguistic fabric? We already know about all this stuff because we've already seen so many videos about Singapore before. Like, we know all about their food scene. We know about the Lion City. We know about the night. We know about all of this, right? We know chewing gum is banned. Yeah. So I'll be honest. I know it's probably Slayer who submitted this video, but we already know this stuff. Like, I know every single one of these things from previous videos that we've watched about Singapore. So in this case, I think I will skip this one. I hope Slayer's not too upset with me. Oh, I see. This is the new YouTube concept art. So this is someone who's a concept designer saying this is what they would do with YouTube if they redesigned it. Okay, let's see what it looks like. So this is if they were to redesign it, this is what it would look like. Nine days ago. This is hilarious. DMs. Invite your friends to a watch party of a video together. Oh, look at that. So essentially, this is just putting in the features that X has, because X has DMs and X has watch parties. The video note thing has already happened, or they said that it's going to happen. The problem is that there's so much misinformation that can be thrown on YouTube. Like, if they implement video notes and they don't have them be from authoritative sources who are being truthful, people could just lie on every video. Like, literally on every video. You could say, oh, this video is bullshit, this person's been proven to do this or that, but they haven't been. They could just make it up, right? Sort by format. So, right, instead, I'm just looking for a long form video. I'm not looking for a short. You'd be able to sort it by that. That would be useful for sure. Gemini integrated into YouTube. Huh. So I see what they're saying. Turn search into conversational. Instead of saying, show me more videos about this device, say, show me more videos like the one I'm already watching. And then boom, you get a bunch of videos similar to that. I see. Why Gemini? Because they own Gemini. Google owns Gemini, so obviously they'd be using the Gemini AI if they were to do this. There you go. Have a feed of everything. If you have the YouTube Music app, have that feed in there. If you're subscribed to certain YouTube channels, have them in your feed. Have one feed for all data at once. Well, that's funny. As much as I agree that dislikes are useful, they're also insanely abusive. Dislikes are not useful for people like me, who people dislike my content because they think, oh, I'll get at them. Not because the content's bad, but because you're a viral group of nut jobs who just want to hate on someone and see your impact on the planet. That's the difference. So I understand why dislikes were removed. Sadly, they weren't removed for the right reason. They were removed because companies were upset that they were getting downvotes on their products and shit. You know what I'm saying? What's funny about that is, though, is that a lot of the stuff that they just recommended already existed. DMs already existed on YouTube ages ago. And they were very useful, and then they just removed them for no reason. You know? I don't know. The one thing that was missing for me was creativity to design your page. Right now, all you can do is add playlists or videos. That's it. You can't change the color. You can't change the format. You can't change the design at all. And you used to be able to do that on YouTube. Your channel page was essentially you. It was a representation of you to the world. Now, your page looks the same as everyone else's. It's white. It's blank. It looks like a textbook page. That's what I would have liked to be changed. Okay. Thanks for that, and thanks for watching. Next part will be the final part for the week. So I hope that you guys are enjoying DSP versus the internet. I will see you in the final part.